That's it. I'm done. I am officially retired from baseball.
The day has finally arrived. Joey Votto has officially announced his retirement from baseball. We're going to talk a little bit about him today. Actually, we're going to pretty much dedicate this whole episode today to the man himself, Joey Votto. We're going to talk a little bit about his personality and how he's kind of branched out over the years. Also going to talk about his Hall of Fame case and whether or not, he'll get in. Welcome back, everybody. We're back to the Reds Relay podcast. I'm Brendan Hossler, and this is Matt Fry, as always. Next to me, Jake is behind the camera. Say hello, Jake.
Hello, hello, hello.
And we're going to just kind of dedicate this whole episode to Joey. But before we get into our Joey Votto conversation today, I want to, if you follow us on Instagram, you kind of know the news already. We are going to be doing a live show this weekend. We have been invited to do a live show this weekend by Wilder Side of Sports and Reds Daily at the Cincinnati Premier Sports Card and Autograph Show. It's Friday from 5 to 7 and Saturday from 12 to 2 at Spooky Nook, right? In Hamilton.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be a great time. It's a great opportunity for us to see some fans and hopefully get do some interviews. It'll be fun.
A couple Reds players will be there. Tyler Stevenson, the main one, and a couple Bengals players highlighted by Jamar Chase will be there. Also, Billy Backflips, the one who streaked on the field a couple last month, he'll be there. OG Stank will be there. Cincinnati comedian.
It'd be cool. So kind of our first big opportunity to kind of, show our face in public and kind of get some recognition, hopefully get some more followers, get some more subscribers.
Yeah. Thanks to Reds Daily for that one.
Yeah, for sure. They reached out to us about a week ago now and, gave us the opportunity to come and do a live show. So it should be fun. And, if you are able to, come out to the show and look at some trading cards and look at some, some of the stuff they're selling out there and maybe get some autographs and, maybe we'll have you on the show. We never know what we're going to do. So
this Friday and Saturday.
Yeah. So, now that that's over with, and as well, we have a beautiful new backdrop that me and Matt Fry designed.
And some new mugs.
So possibly some merch on the way. We kind of messed around with that. We got some new business cards too. Where are these at? Let's show these. I don't know if the camera's gonna be able to see these or not. I think there's too much glare.
This is too far, yeah.
Yeah, I might post those on Instagram. But we got some business cards when we handed those out at the event. We just kind of messed around with some design and did some different things. I think I like this a lot more than our old flag we had. So a couple new things. But yeah, let's just kind of jump into this Joey Votto topic for today. So obviously, he was kind of trying to make this comeback with Toronto. He wanted to play for like his home country. And it didn't really work out. As everybody knows, he was, I think I have it on here, he was batting 143 at AAA Buffalo when he was in AAA. He was doing some rehab assignments. He's been hurt a couple of times, and just never really kind of gotten a rhythm. And, I think him not being able to recover from his injuries, I think hurts him a lot.
Yeah, maybe he rushed a little bit like last season when he had that injury. He's been hurt the past 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
A lot, but
it seems like he's always dealing with something. And I think
this one obviously hurt him pretty good with the old age and everything, and his stats show it, and he was underperforming.
I think he's just gotten to that point. All these players kind of hit a wall, and they don't really know when it's going to happen. There's guys that retire before I think they are able to try. Like a guy like David Ortiz, I think his final year he hit 30 home runs. And then he retired. So some guys retire maybe a little too early. And, Votto, I think maybe stuck around a little longer than he should have. But he retires a Red, full-time Red. He never, played another game for another organization, which there's a short list of Reds that have, played for more than 15 years and all in Cincinnati Reds uniform.
Ended his career in the only way he knew how, with getting ejected in his very last game
St.
ever.
Louis, so we're going to kind of dive into his career numbers, kind of look at his Hall of Fame case. But before we do that, I want to kind of look at his, I guess his like funny side that we never really thought was going to be there early in his career. He's more of a quiet guy. So we got some video clips we want to show you guys if you have not seen them. The first one, do we have the gym day? Did we do that one? I don't know if we did that one. So. Let's show the Red Surge video from Intentional Talk.
I'm here for serious business.
Are we good?
This
We
is
have
the Red
sound?
Surge, boys. The Red Surge.
Yeah, there we
There's
go.
nothing
Now we have
bigger
sound.
or better in Canada than the Red Surge. And for you to put my picture photoshopped next to Brett Michaels, it's not good. It is not good. It was craft day back at the station, and I ended up leaving the picture of me and Nibbles, my horse, my
Intentional
trusty
Talk is
horse.
just
You know,
like-
no one's fooling around except for you guys.
I remember when he did this interview.
on your silly little show. Thinks it's Russian. He thinks it's Russian.
Joe
This is
Kelly.
Canada, baby.
His Cardinal Day. This was
Russia.
early.
Now I'm going to ask you, how many of those outfits do
I
you
wanna say
have?
it's
Do you
maybe
carry one or
2012.
do you carry multiple?
One, ironically, we have an even redder Canada Day version. Well, let me tell you guys, after we talk, I'm
After we
gonna go head to
talk?
Tim Hortons and go get some donuts, eh? And it's about the time for us to finish this interview. Thank you.
Like that kind of stuff you didn't really see earlier in his career. Like,
he really started showing himself in the last 5 years, maybe.
yeah, that was kind of one of his earlier stints of kind of going viral, I guess, on social media. We'll have a couple more here to show you, but yeah, Intentional Talk was always a great show. I kind of wish they would have kept it the same. Losing Chris Rose kind of went downhill with that show, but Votto had some great interviews on there. I think we have another one that we're going to show. But yeah, I think Votto, like early in his career, he was always a super quiet guy when they drafted him in 2002. And, they kind of, he had pretty much immediate success and had a lot of media attention on him and just was never, there was actually some certain guys in the clubhouse that didn't really cater to him because he was such a quiet guy. So kind of some people kind of thought, is this guy not a good teammate? Is he, all about himself kind of thing? Then he won his MVP, and then he obviously the news of his father passing, which was a huge deal, and he kind of went into his shell, for a span of probably 3 years after his dad died, and that was a really tough time for him. So I think once he was able to kind of get past that, I think that's now you've seen the side of Joey that has always been there. It's just about getting that out. So I think another clip we want to show was, remind me what it was, Matt Fry. Let's see if we can find it. It was, the Mad Dog video. Yeah.
This is probably the most famous Joey Votto video.
Yeah, this is a more recent one interview they did with Mad Dog Russo.
I got something to say to you.
and Alana
One,
Rizzo. I think we're getting a little
a couple
feedback
of months
on the
ago,
mic.
you
I don't
said
know
that
if we're right
Zach Greinke and I are a hall of very good ball players.
Getting some sound,
I think
yeah.
Zach and I would agree.
Feedback.
You may be right. But I get the gist of what's going on here. I know what you're doing. You're looking down on us, a couple small market Midwest ball players, just because we're not big city, just like you. Mr. New York City, Sirius XM radio star, Mr. National Television, ESPN star, with your Fifth Avenue ties and your crisp pocket squares, your tailored suits and your polished shoes, and your hair, your perfectly coiffed Broadway hair. Must be nice to sit atop that Madison Avenue ivory tower, looking down on us with those luscious locks. Not everyone can be the next Roger Peckinpah,
I love
Mad
Alana
Dog.
Rizzo's face
You
in this
should be
video.
ashamed of yourself. You're a disgrace.
She's like losing it in the like she doesn't think that this is like scripted.
I didn't either when I first saw it, and then he started getting more into it.
I think it was Jim Day. I heard him talking on 700 a couple days ago, and the gist of it was I think him and Votto actually planned this out, believe it or not. Like they like rehearsed it, like during whatever they were doing in the clubhouse. Like him and Votto like sat down and like Votto rehearsed it. Like that's the most Joey Votto thing I've ever heard. Like he's got to practice an interview stunt that he's about to do with Mad Dog, and Mad Dog obviously loves it. He's a crazy like personality with MLB, and that's probably one of the more viral videos that we've seen from Joe. I keep kicking my chair, man. The other one that I want to look at is, we kind of have always talked about like what is Votto going to do now that he's done. So, is he going to get into baseball? Is he going, like I say, get into baseball, but, get into the baseball ops?
Yeah.
Is he going to do, GM?
I had a buddy tell me he'd be a good Jim Day.
I think he probably would. I just don't know if he'd want to dedicate that kind of time.
Yeah, that's a lot.
To me, he seems like somebody that would want to leave and just go live in the middle of absolutely nowhere in a cabin with his dog.
Yeah, he's talked about before that he wanted to stay in Cincinnati, but
who knows what he'll do. But
Lives
we
by
do
himself.
have one thing that he might want to do, and he actually mentioned this on MLB Now, I believe, and you're about to see a video clip of what that was.
Let me say one thing. So I said after I got something to say to you. I
One,
legitimately would like
a
couple
Yeah,
of months ago you said
Hang on,
that
we'll
Zach
pull it up
Greinke and I are a
here in a
hall of
second.
very good ball players.
I want to be
I think Zach and I would.
Yeah, it's all right. We're good. One moment.
Oh, hey, let me say one thing.
There
So
we
I
go.
said after I'm done playing drive a bus, I legitimately would like to drive a yellow bus when I'm older. So I've actually thought about I want to be either a crossing guard or drive a yellow
Are you
bus,
getting
drive
audio?
the kids to
Okay.
drive the kids to school or let them cross to school. So that's something I'm excited about. I'm serious about that. I think that'll be great. I plan on retiring around 40, 41 years old, and then from
he was
40
pretty much
to
right.
however
40.
long I live, I'll drive that yellow bus.
Driving the yellow bus. Okay, so a little bit of technical difficulties there. We're working with a lot of video clips, so bear with us. But yeah, so maybe he'll end up driving
Yeah,
the
I
yellow
don't know
bus.
if you remember when he posted that, and then a couple of days after, he posted on his Instagram story about him driving the yellow bus down to Louisville, and everybody thought he was going to bring up Ellie. I forget what that was all.
okay.
I forget what that was all about, but I remember he posted he was in Louisville in a bus, and everybody thought
He was
were
picking
calling
up
up
Ellie.
Ellie.
I think wasn't there a video of him actually being a crossing guard?
Probably.
I think there
don't know.
was. There's videos of Votto everywhere. If you've seen some of his TikToks,
His
me and Matt
TikToks
Fryer
are
were looking at some
hilarious.
of those, and they're kind of out of this world. It's just crazy to see how far he's come in his career, to just from where he was to where he is now in the state of baseball. He's to me he's one of the best personalities that they've ever had in baseball. I think he's so good for the game. Not like you have that side of Votto where it's the funny, it's the the very I don't even know how I want to explain it, but just like that funny side of him. But then he also has where he's so a lot of guys have talked about this. They talked about it on 700 how he is so good at talking about the game and his process of hitting. Mm-hmm. There was the video in spring training where I think it was Greg Amsinger's the MLB Network where they do the 30 clubs in 30 days. They were talking about basically his hitting approach, and he gets so in depth with it and goes so you hear some of these hitters talk and they kind of just they just cookie cut it and they kind of make it really simple I want to hit the ball to left center, or I want to do this blah blah blah. Well, then he kind of went on and talked about how I think Jake's might be trying to pull it up. I don't think it's that one. But he was he was basically talking about how he wants to hit the ball with a certain spin, a certain, he wants it to look a certain way off the bat. He wants to be able to hit it almost like a golfer, like how a golfer can drive, he can chip, he can putt, he can hit the ball in so many different ways. That's kind of what Votto was talking about. He wanted to be able to hit the ball, over the second baseman to the pull side. He wanted to be able to hit a line drive to the first baseman. He wanted to be able to one hop the wall in left center field, just different stuff like that. He'd go so in depth. I think you had it actually. Go back, go down. I think it's that one. Yeah, it is that one. We're going to see if we can pull this up for you guys and see what I'm talking about here. Give us a moment. Yeah, it was 30 clubs in 30 days. We don't need to have audio. I think as long as they can hear the audio, we're good. Can they hear this? Oh, we don't know. Okay. Well, hopefully you guys can hear this. But yeah, he's just goes super in depth about how he goes about hitting the baseball. Excuse me. And it's actually a super interesting video. It's you never have heard another guy talk like that before about hitting. So you have that side of him too. And I think he cares so much about the game and his approach and his work and how he goes about it. So we wanted to kind of touch on, that part of Joey because, I don't think there's not a lot of guys that are smarter hitters than he was. I mean, when you look at it and you look at his numbers, obviously he's a great player, but there is a science behind what he does.
Yeah, I loved his approach watching him growing up about the he was a great at getting on base
Walking.
anyway, and
Yeah.
his choking up on the bat, just getting a little.
Always
Just
making
getting it,
adjustments.
just 2 strikes, choking up, poking it, doing everything you can to get on.
I think he
I
went
love
through
that.
like 5 or 6 different batting stances in the last 10
Yeah.
years. You know, he went kind of to that Pete Rose, you know, lower, choked up on the bat, and then he stood up tall one year and then he hit 36 homers. I honestly think, looking at his numbers, if you can pull that up, Jake, if you want. Yeah. So this is his baseball reference. So it's like there's years, and you can see like his approach just by looking at his stat lines. Like, you know, the 1 year in 2021 where he hit, was it 36 home runs, Jake? Yeah, 36 home
Yeah,
runs.
he just set his approach to power.
Yeah,
And standing
like,
upright.
He
a
can
little bit.
hit 36 home runs if he wants. Now, he didn't hit 500 in his career. He's not considered a power hitter, but he could turn that on if he wanted to. And then he had years where he hit, you know, 21 home runs or 18, and he walked 130 times. He led the league in walks. On base was, you know, 420 or 430, whatever. So just the way he went about it was so interesting, and he's definitely one of the best Reds, you know, to ever, you know, have a chance to wear that uniform. And, you know, I put him in my Mount Rushmore. I don't know what you think about that. What, you know,
As far as Reds of all time, yeah, he's got to be. Played his whole career
Yeah, I
here,
think-
had great numbers.
I think you have Rose, you have Bench and Barry. And I think Votto's probably that 4th spot. I know Joe Morgan is a better baseball player than Joey Votto. Statistically, like speaking, like Joe Morgan is probably the greatest second baseman ever. But I think when you look at it and you say, you know, Votto played his entire career with Cincinnati, 17 years, and he was kind of the face of the 2010s. You know, everybody knows who Joey Votto is. Like, he is the face of the Cincinnati Reds organization for the last 17 years. So he's on my Mount Rushmore, and he'll definitely go in the Reds Hall of Fame, and he'll definitely get a statue. What do you think they'll put that statue?
Hopefully, right out when you walk into the right of
feel like
who's the first like 2. When you
I think
first
the
walk
Big
in?
Red Machine is all. It's like, except for Johnny Bench, he has his own, but then it's like Pete Rose, Pete Rose, Tony Perez. I think maybe Concepcion is in there. Joe Morgan just had a new statue. I think Joey should get his own spot just because that's kind of like his ballpark.
Yeah,
He's the best player to play in that ballpark, like throughout
he's
his,
our
you know,
only
yeah.
name we had.
I mean, you had
for
Griffey, but
20
Griffey
years.
didn't play, you know, most of his career in Great American Ballpark. So, you know, so I think to kind of keep going with this video, I want to talk about, and I want to show some more clips. Hopefully we get these to kind of come up a little bit easier. But I want to kind of show some of his, like, to me, I think some of his best moments. The first one was kind of dating back. I think this was 2012. It was his walk-off grand slam on Mother's Day, I think. 3-homer game. We're going to get that pulled up for you.
Yeah, Mother's Day of 2012.
Here's the 2-2 to Votto. Head deep center field.
Nobody in the ballpark.
Ideal going back.
Shocker.
At the warning track. It's gone. It's gone.
That was to
Joey
cap off a
Votto is
3-homer
delivered.
day.
Make it V for victory.
I think that's probably one of the best
Grand slam home run.
Easily.
A long distance Mother's Day present for
And with a grand
Votto.
slam to walk it off. That's probably the best game of his
Joey,
career.
3 home runs, and look at this at home
George
plate.
Grant on the call. I miss George Grant. He was so good. But that's one of his bigger moments. We got a couple more we're going to look at. Obviously, his 2000th hit was another big milestone for him.
Payoff. 2,000 hits for Joey Votto.
I think if he's not hurt, I mean, everybody gets hurt, right? But to me, I'm going to go through that now. I think that's why I'm kidding myself. I think to me, it's kind of like, all right, if he has, 2012, he had the big knee injury where he missed a bunch of time, and then he missed, a bunch of time the last several years. I think, if he stays away from those major injuries, do you think he gets to 3,000? I mean, he's a long ways away.
Yeah, I'd have to look at his baseball reference and see like what years he's missed or whatever.
Yeah,
but I know the last 5 or so years that he was a Red, he missed a lot of time.
He ended up with 2135 total hits. So
he'd be pushing it, yeah.
So I think he probably could have gotten to 2,500 at the very least. I think that probably gives him a couple more, couple extra 100 hits, if that's how I want to say that. So, that's another one of his big milestones, and I think the last one we're going to show is probably my favorite moment ever of him wearing a Reds uniform, and that was his final hit at Great American Ballpark. I almost kind of got like emotional when I watched it, just because it's like he was like my childhood. Like he's the guy I grew up watching. So we're gonna pull that clip up for you.
Bash to right. His first game back.
Oh, I forgot we had this one.
Joseph Daniel
Okay, so the one you're watching,
Votto.
actually, I forgot about this
This
one.
one's probably my favorite.
Okay, so this is his first game back after the big injury in 2022, the shoulder surgery.
Yeah, everybody thought he was going to retire then. And then he had that post conference about like 2 days before that.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Look, I want to play, but that team was so good at the moment."
Yeah.
And he's like, "I don't know if I'm going to play." And then he goes in and does that, and they're like, "Yeah, like you belong on this team."
And then he ended up hitting like 13 homers for them.
He played a good role.
He contributed a lot. That was his first game back in 2023 last year when they were getting red hot. That was part of their winning streak, actually, when they were playing Colorado. And he hit a home run in his second at bat of his first game back. Now I think we're going to pull up if we have it. Oh, okay. Jake's waving at me vigorously, so I don't think we have it. We don't have it. But anyway, we were going to pull up his final hit, which to me was like one of the most emotional moments as a Reds fan.
Yeah,
it was
we were
just
all
like,
waiting for it to happen.
I think it's because, like, in the back of our minds, we kind of knew that we may never see him on a baseball field again, whether that be for the Reds or whether that be for Toronto. So that was definitely a very cool moment, but also very, he kind of got his flowers, like, hey, this is our send-off. You got your base hit,
the curtain call at the end kind of foreshadowed what was to come.
And so we kind of knew that was going to be the end. So, there's some Votto moments we kind of wanted to go through, kind of going down memory lane a little bit with him. And so I think now we want to kind of have a debate here and talk Hall of Fame, because that's the big question with his career is, did he do enough, and did he avoid the injuries enough to make the Hall of Fame? I think when you flat look at his numbers, I think you kind of say to yourself, okay, is he Hall of Very Good? Because he doesn't really, like, the cumulative stats, like the home runs, the RBIs, the hits, they don't jump off the page, especially for a first baseman. Normally, first baseman, like you're looking at a couple here, like Fred McGriff, and I think, do we have Tony Perez up right now too?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're looking at a couple first basemen that also don't have crazy numbers, but they're both in the Hall of Fame, Tony Perez and Fred McGriff. So you look at the cumulative stats for Votto, and they don't jump off the page, but, his slash lines are very good, Matt Fry.
That Fred McGriff comparison right there is why I think he is a Hall of Famer, because just look at pure numbers. Joey Votto has a lot better
Surpasses
numbers than
him
what he
in
has.
pretty much everything except for home runs.
And him getting, what did he get in, like 2021, Fred McGriff, 23 or
something
whatever.
like that.
I think that should solidify him into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, obviously has
Because a lot of people look at that. He what was he? He only had 6 All-Stars.
And that's the other thing too. We talked about this. He's been such a second half player his whole career.
And Fred McGriff right there, he's only got 5. And
yeah,
he does have he hasn't won an MVP. He's got
3
a World
Silver
Series.
Sluggers.
Yeah, he's got
3
Silver Sluggers, which Joey Votto does not have
one, which is actually crazy. How do you have an MVP and not have a Silver Slugger? I don't know. That's probably because he played along with Pujols and the Goldschmidts and Freemans. Seems like those guys always got the votes for that. But yeah, I mean, I think he's a Hall of Famer. I'll just say that. And I think
every Red Cincinnati fan would say he's a Hall of Famer.
Right.
But
And that's, that might be us being biased. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't get in the first time, and then, maybe his second go through on the ballot he gets in. I think he does, like, as trying to be as unbiased as possible. I think that he deserves to be in solely based on the fact that he was the best in baseball for 10, 12 years at, like, he was obviously good at a lot of things, but he owned one thing, and that was getting on base. I mean, a 409 career on base. Look at Tony Perez's 341. I mean, that's just like, like kind of crazy to think about. Like how, I mean, 920 OPS is elite for a career to play 17 seasons. And you don't see a lot of guys play that many years anymore. I mean, look at a guy like Trout. It's like, obviously Trout's going to get in the Hall of Fame. I'm not saying, he doesn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, but, you look at a guy like the longevity that Votto was able to play with. Now, granted, he's playing first base, but, he was able to play 2,000 games, which is no short career at all. I mean, the longevity, the consistency. I think the only thing that held him back was the injuries, and then on top of that, the market. I mean, he played for the Reds being a smaller market team, not making the playoffs. I think that
he had no playoff wins ever.
No series wins
ever. Which I mean, you could say the same for Mike Trout. Like, it's baseball's such a different sport than the rest.
Right.
Like, you're not gonna just win.
You're not gonna base a guy's case off of championships,
Yeah.
or playoff games or anything like that. We wanted to kind of compare those guys because obviously those guys are in, and Votto kind of, like you said, he kind of clears them. So to me, I think he's got to go in. And if we're going to talk about guys like Yadier Molina getting in the Hall of Fame,
it depends. It's going to depend on who he's up on the ballot with, and I don't know who. Like, unless Scherzer, Verlander just retire, he's not going to have any big names. Miguel Cabrera was like last year,
and he'll go in the first ballot.
Yeah, and he's got. I don't really know if anybody. We'll have to see who retires, but there's no really big names that are going to go in.
Yeah, I think you'll just have a lot of leftover guys from the ballot.
It'll be like Felix Hernandez if he doesn't get in.
That would be the only way I think he wouldn't get in, is if, say guys like that retired this year, and then, the Hall of Fame doesn't want to put 5 guys in at once, and I think that's kind of why they do that too. They hold some guys back because they don't want one guy going in, and they don't want 6 guys going in. They want that 3 to 4, 2, 3, 4 range. So that's part of the reason.
Do they always stay on the ballot? I think they have a certain amount of time before.
Well, they stay on, I believe, for 5 years. Oh. I think that's the threshold. Sometimes you can appeal for like more years. But a guy like Billy Wagner's on the ballot for his final year. Apparently, he should be in. Not to get off on a tangent, but he should be in the Hall of Fame. I think Joey should definitely get in. I mean, the 2010 MVP was one of the best seasons anyone's had in a Reds uniform in a long time. And he was our guy for 17 full years, but he had that prime of 10 to 12 years where he definitely deserved to be in. So I think that's kind of where we stand with that. I'm not going to be able to really dig more into that. I think it's you just kind of have to look at the numbers. Baseball's just look at the numbers. It's not championships. It's not playoffs. It's not look who we played against. You're not, like when you debate things like LeBron and Michael, you always say like, who's he playing against? Who's he, things like that. So with baseball, you don't really have that kind of debate. One more thing I want to talk about before we get into a little fun after this. I want to look at 2017 because Jake actually thinks that I'm wrong, but he says that Votto wasn't robbed. Now, robbed might be a strong word.
This is what I'm arguing. I think saying he was robbed is a stretch.
Is a stretch. Okay. So, I mean, I would probably have to agree with that because 59 home runs is pretty ridiculous, especially in a ballpark like Miami where it's not a super hitty friendly.
That's 2 completely different players you're trying to compare there too. So it's really hard to.
But Votto basically owns, I think, every slat so he doesn't lead in slug, but OPS, on base, average. You know how I am about stolen bases. Does he have more stolen bases? I can't see on the screen.
He's got 3 more. He's only got 5 stolen bases.
5 to 2.
Yeah. Higher WAR.
I mean, batting .320 and playing 162 games, that's really impressive.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. If Votto had that year this year, he's winning it. Well, I say not now with Shohei, but that was just a very abnormal race because they were both on bad teams. There was nobody that was. I don't even remember who else was in that race in 2017. The Dodgers were in the World Series against Houston that year, so the Dodgers wouldn't have had anybody. I think Jake's pulling up the race for us in the voting. Altuve won in the Nash. Oh, okay. So Goldschmidt, Arenado, Charlie Blackmon, 213 hits. So actually, there was a lot of players. Like, can we pull that up again? Yeah. So let me look at this. So Stanton, bad team. Votto, bad team. I don't think Arizona made the playoffs that year. Colorado, Washington was probably, and Chicago. Okay. So yeah, the Cubs were good, and they had Chris Bryant and Rendon, but that top of the list is a bunch of players on bad teams. So it's kind of a weird race.
Yeah.
So I think they kind of took the oddity of the race with the guy with 59 home runs, and that is a lot. Like if we didn't have Aaron Judge hitting 60 home runs, Giancarlo would be the guy to hit the most home runs in 20 years or whatever it is. So I don't know. We kind of wanted to bring that up because before we started recording, we were talking about it and talking about whether or not Joey was robbed. I guess he wasn't. I guess Jake is probably right because obviously Stanton had a very good year. So we wanted to kind of bring that up. So I think now we've talked a little Hall of Fame. We've talked some of his best moments. We're going to get back to some baseball reference that we have not done in a little while. I'm excited to get back to this. The theme for today, going along with our episode, is we're going to be using teammates of Joey Votto. So we have 3 names for you. Obviously, if you don't know how this works, I cannot see these names. I will say, can I pull this up on here so that I can see the thing?
I can pull it up real quick for you.
Yeah, because I kind of forgot about that. I need to be able to actually see the chart, and I can't see it on our monitor. So
Here, I'll pull it up real quick. Which one is this? The first one is yeah. Okay, so me and Jake have picked these out, so I know this.
Okay.
And
I didn't see that, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so obviously, if you don't know how this works, they give me a name. So this episode is going to be a guy that played with Joey Votto throughout his career. Matt Fry's handing it to me now.
But usually, I mean, every single Reds player we probably did has been a teammate of Joey Votto. He's been there for 17 years.
Well, that is true.
This guy is.
So yeah, I guess it's just it's basically just a player that played for the Reds in the last 17 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, they give me exactly what you're seeing on the screen. I can't see the name. I don't know.
It's
who
going
the
from
player
easy
is.
to hard.
So this is our easy one. Okay, so we're looking at a center fielder, 09. So he kind of came up with Joey. He actually didn't play for the Reds for very long. 205 strikeouts. Wow. Not a super long career. He was part of the playoff team, played a lot of games. Okay, yeah, I know who this is. This is pretty easy. This is a guy that we traded for probably one of the best one-year Reds players of all time, Sin-Soo Choo. This is not Choo, but we traded him for Choo, and this is Drew Stubbs.
That is correct.
That's one of my favorite guys to watch growing up.
All right, that one was pretty easy. Drew Stubbs struck out a lot. He was not a bad player, but he did strike out a lot. He had a lot of swing and miss. Him and Bruce both just, yeah.
All right, here's
next
the next
guy. Okay, so we have a Dodger debut. And then he came to the Reds, and he played a little bit of everywhere. Okay, at first I thought this was Kyle Farmer, but because I saw shortstop. But Kyle Farmer's with the Twins now. So this guy doesn't play anymore. Wow, really short career. Okay, so he was on the bad teams.
Okay.
Played in 2019. You know who these guys are.
Yeah,
okay,
I picked them out.
Okay. Ooh, this one's a little bit more difficult. He's on those bad teams, kind of a middle infield. Played center at one point. Played a lot of games though. 157 games in 2018. That was such a bad year. 31 doubles. He actually wasn't bad in 2018. He was actually pretty good. Oh, okay. No. It just came to me. This, I believe, this guy's actually playing in the league that Trevor Bauer's playing in now. He was in one of his videos, I think. It was him, because I think they played together, right? 2019. Yeah, they would have played together because Bauer was traded in 2019. This is Jose Peraza.
You're 2 for 2.
I was about to say, I've gotten him on that before, and I think is that the only Reds guy I've ever stumped you with?
The
Or
only
that
like
was-
relevant guy.
Yeah, the
I think.
only-
we did that one a long time ago. So I guess I have seen that one, but it's been so long ago. But so we'll see what this third one is. I'm hoping this third
This
one's a
one's
little bit harder.
It's pretty difficult, I think.
I'm kind of in the mood to get stumped. I want to see what you guys throw at me. I want to see.
I don't know if we've given you this guy before.
Okay. We started
Is it
doing
up
this
there?
game.
I think we've definitely given it to him at one
Have-
point or
I
another. Just based on the pure number of
boy.
names we've given.
Okay, this guy is not very.
His name wasn't clicked on my baseball reference, so
The only thing that's going to help me in this is the fact that he played in 2020 and they only played 60 games, so he played a third of those games. Oh boy. You guys might get me on this one. I don't know if I know. Seattle. So we traded him to Seattle in 2020? I guess. Was there even a trade deadline in 2020?
I have no idea.
Oh my lord, this is gonna be tough. I gotta get this. I gotta All right, I am not feeling confident here. Wow. Matt Fry, you might have to come up with something while I sit here and ponder this one. You want to talk more about our event if you want?
sure. Yeah.
I don't
this
know,
Friday
man.
and Saturday.
I'm panicking. Okay.
No,
Said you were in the
can get
mood to
this
get
guy.
stumped.
You can get
I
this
did.
guy.
I did say that. 086 and 2020 with the Reds is crazy.
I
Okay.
remember this guy. So
he mostly played the outfield,
yeah.
right? Okay. 2017 call up. Oh my lord, I don't know if I know this guy.
Was he part of?
Was he part of a? So the 2020 in Seattle's. Excuse me,
In
throwing me off.
2020, he was DFA'd by the Reds
Oh.
and was picked up by Seattle.
DFA'd. It's not Shogo.
I mean, look at the numbers. Do you have a surprise about that?
No, but I just don't remember like that happening. And who was in the outfield? So you had Shogo, you had Aquino, you had Castellanos, Winker. I don't think they had Naquin in 2020. Give me. I gotta cheat. Give me his first initial,
P.
dude.
He's gonna get stumped.
Pete. Oh, I know who this is. Is this Philip Irvin?
That is correct,
Wow.
but you took a hint, so we're not going to give it to you.
Yeah, I don't get a. Okay, I get crickets. All right, bro. All right, bro. I see how it is. No, that's a good name. I forget about Philip Irvin.
Philip
a lot. I
Irvin.
thought he played after 2020 too. After 2020, yeah, I thought he played after 2020. That's a very good name. That one is probably. I mean, is that a stump?
And it's like a half.
I guess you and
It's
Jake.
like we get half a point.
I think you and Jake get to vote on that. And I obviously lose because you're both going to say I got stumped. But I think that's going to do it for us today. We want to just kind of dedicate a video to Votto. Obviously, one of the greatest Reds of all time. Definitely in the conversation for that Mount Rushmore of Reds. Hopefully one day we get to see him, hang his plaque in Cooperstown and, give a speech in front of everybody. Because I think for the Reds, who've gone through a lot of losing over the years, it would be great to see him get in the Hall of Fame and kind of make it seem like the last 10 years has been worth watching, I guess, because it's been some painful years. But Joey has been everything that Cincinnati ever wanted. He absolutely it was worth the contract, and so he, we wanted to kind of dedicate a video to him. So I think that's going to kind of do it for us today. Come see us on Friday and Saturday at Spooky Nook in Hamilton. We're going to be doing a live show. We would love to see everybody there. You can check us out on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter. And you can listen to us on YouTube and Spotify as always. Thanks so much for watching.
Come out and watch the Rhett Lauder debut as well. We
On
can talk
Friday.
about that after the show.